Chapter 17. Mordred's Treachery. Lancelot and his men reached the coast and sailed for France, safely reaching his father's lands at Benwick. Lancelot immediately ordered his knights and the townsfolk to prepare for a siege. He knew the avenging Gawain would not be far behind him. King Arthur only wanted peace with Lancelot, but he felt honour bound to do what Gawain wanted, and Gawain would never rest until either he or Lancelot were dead. Arthur realised that, if he went to France, he would have to appoint someone to look after his kingdom while he was away. There was only one person he could choose, because he was of royal blood. But he was the man Arthur mistrusted most, his nephew Mordred. The scheming Mordred saw his chance. He went to Arthur and swore he had not meant to cause all the trouble which had happened between the king and Lancelot. "Give me the chance to make amends," he begged. "I will look after your kingdom." If Arthur ever had a weakness, it was to trust people too much. He left his kingdom in the hands of Mordred, and sailed for France with Gawain and an army of 60,000 men. The army was so strong that no one stood in Arthur's way when he landed. He soon reached the town of Benwick. Once again Lancelot would not send out his knights to fight, for fear of killing the king and his old comrades. Gawain rode up to the castle walls and shouted to Lancelot, "Come out and fight, traitor!" Lancelot knew that Gawain would never be satisfied without a fight. "Noble Gawain," he called, "this fight is not between me and King Arthur. This is our battle, and so I will fight you, but let no other man be involved." Lancelot saddled his strongest horse and put on his full armour. Then he rode out to meet Gawain. "I agree to your terms," said Gawain. "No man will come between us." King Arthur's 60,000 men stood back to watch, as did thousands of others on the battlements of Benwick. "This is a battle to the death," cried Gawain. "One of us will not leave this field alive." The two great knights, their lances raised, put their horses into a charge. No man had ever seen knights ride with such fury and passion. The two challengers were almost hidden by the clouds of dust raised by the racing hooves, and in those clouds they met like thunder and lightning, lances rattling each other's shield. The horses' nostrils flared as they charged again. When they met this time, both men's lances broke in half, but still they charged again, hacking at each other with their broken weapons. Both men's shields shattered into pieces. Swords were drawn as they rode at each other once more, Gawain fiercely lashing out at Lancelot, who parried the blow. And so it went on all morning, with Gawain attacking and Lancelot defending every blow. By midday the horses were so tired that they both collapsed with exhaustion beneath their riders. The battle continued on foot. Gawain seemed like a man possessed as he ran in with his blade swirling in the air. Every now and then Gawain struck home, and soon Lancelot's body was cut in many places. But as the afternoon wore on, Gawain tired a little, and Lancelot took his chance. His blade found its mark on Gawain's helmet. It split, and the sword pierced his skull. He fell to the ground. "Finish it, Lancelot," said Gawain. "I will not ask for mercy." But Lancelot walked away and went back into the castle. "I will never kill a man who was once my friend," he shouted. "I'll be back," said Gawain, as he was carried from the battlefield. It took Gawain 3 weeks to recover from his wound, and, as soon as he was fit, he rode out again. The fight was as fierce as the first, and ended with the same result. They fought all day until Lancelot struck again. Once more Gawain was carried from the field, swearing to return. Gawain was healed within the month, and ready to challenge Lancelot again. But on the morning that he was due to ride out, a messenger galloped into King Arthur's camp. "My lord, grave news," he gasped, almost out of breath from his ride. "Mordred has told the people that you have been killed in France, and now he has been crowned King of England. There's even talk he wants to marry Queen Guinevere." "I should never have trusted my wicked nephew," roared King Arthur. "I will have his life for it." King Arthur ordered an immediate return to England. Lancelot watched in amazement as Arthur, Gawain, and their 60,000 knights broke camp and marched away. Mordred was waiting for King Arthur at Dover. There was a ferocious battle on the beaches, but Arthur's men put Mordred and his men to flight. Arthur counted his casualties and found they were slight. But then his butlers, Sir Bedivere and Sir Lucan, came rushing over. "Gawain is badly hurt, my lord," they cried. Arthur found Gawain lying in one of the boats. Blood was trickling from a deep wound in his head. "It is a mortal wound," sighed Gawain. "I will not last out the day. I beg you, bring me quill and paper. I have a final letter to write." Materials were brought, and Gawain weakly raised himself up on his elbow so he could write. "To my noble Sir Lancelot, I lie wounded to death on England's dear shore. As my end approaches, I must beg your forgiveness. It was for the love of my brothers that I swore revenge on you. Yet, in death, my head has cleared. I know that you would never have slain them on purpose. I know that you loved Gaheris and Gareth as much as I. Indeed, I know it was a noble deed you did that day in rescuing Queen Guinevere. King Arthur knows it too, and he needs your help once more. This day we drove this scoundrel Mordred inland, but even now he is gathering a great army to destroy our rightful king. I beg you to do one more gallant deed in the name of the Round Table. Hurry back to England with your men to save the kingdom." Gawain signed his name and then added a note at the bottom. "One more request I make. Visit my tomb when you reach England." They were the last words that Gawain wrote. He slumped back and died. King Arthur cradled Gawain's head in his lap and wept. That night, even as Gawain was buried in Dover Castle, the letter was on its way by messenger to France.